There is no other exhibit like it, and since the shroud itself is only shown about once each century and is kept in St. John's Cathedral in Turin, Italy, this is the closest thing to it. In 1978, 50 scientists studied the shroud for 100 hours. They took pictures of it. The pictures are displayed at the exhibit. They used a computer image analyzer on it, which gave them a three-dimensional facial image. They did everything to the cloth except cut it up for carbon-14 tests. That's the only test that could conclusively date the shroud to the time of the crucifixion. They proved the blood stains on the cloth were blood.
The spike mark is clearly made through the wrist in this area. So apparently we have the man on the shroud going through sort of an agonizing seesaw as he changed angles and tried to push himself up with his legs to relieve some of the tension on various parts of his body.
And they proved that the blood stain from a side wound as described in the Bible was caused by a stab wound after the man on the cross had died.
Using digitized image processing, they took a photo of the shroud, keyed visually to this band of the spectrum, and then programmed the computer to print out in red everything on the cloth that matched that spectrum. What you have is a face that was apparently totally covered with blood.
And scientists noted blood stains from where the man had been whipped and noted how the crown of thorns had been placed on his head, a crown like this one.
It appears that the man on the shroud did not have one of these dainty little laurel wreaths, which is so often shown in church art for the crucifixion of Jesus. This man probably had something more like this, a cap or basket work affair of thorns, which would be jammed down over the head, cutting the head over its entire surface.
The scientists concluded in 1981, after 3 years of exhaustive studies, that they could not guarantee that the shroud was the burial cloth of Christ, but they found nothing to indicate that it was not. There was no evidence of body decomposition in the cloth after death. They could not explain how a clear image of a man who had died horribly, could have been etched on the Shroud of Turin. But the image is there. Armenian artist Agemian studied a photograph of the image on the Shroud of Turin for 7 years, then painted this portrait. Is it Christ?